Today's show is brought to you by Audible. Please visit audiblepodcast.com/imore for your free audiobook download. Hey everyone, this is Georgia from iMore, and welcome to our weekly show about iPhones and iPads, from news and reviews to help and how-tos. This is iPhone and iPad Live. It's April 11th, 2012, and joining me tonight is the co-host of Iterate and CIO of Nickelfish, Seth Clifford.
Hey, Georgia. How are you?
I'm good. I'm stressed. It's been a long day.
Yeah, likewise.
You sound it. It should be fun.
Yeah.
Also joining me is the editor-in-chief of iMore, our own Renee Ritchie.
Hey, Georgia. Ustream is a miserable sack of fail tonight, so I apologize to people trying to watch us live, but it's pinging in the triple digits, and that just makes me all shades of angry.
Yeah.
Well, it's okay. I just read an AMA by Josh Whedon, and it's better than having your show canceled.
Slightly.
You know. And of course, I would like to say hello to our most fabulous chat room.
Hey, chat room, if you can see us and it's not too stammery.
Well, let's get started with the funnest thing. We have the iMore app that is out there and has gotten rave reviews. Seth, congratulate your team.
Yes, I will. I'm really happy that everybody is really getting behind it and really enjoying it. There's been so much great feedback and a lot of great feature requests. And, as Renee and I have said in posts, we got it. We are one step ahead of you. All the things that you've asked for, we've already thought about.
We asked for them first.
We are in the process of figuring out how and when. So don't
Seth,
worry. There's more good coming.
You're so modest. I'm going to say that a lot of people have said that it is absolutely the best-in-class mobile website app they have ever had the pleasure of ripping off the App Store and using to their heart's content.
That is a really, really nice thing to hear. I mean, that we had different objectives in mind collectively as to what we wanted to deliver, but I mean, that's just a great thing to hear from people. It's always nice when people like your work, but when they really like it and really hold it up as, kind of a best in class experience, it's reaffirming, it makes me think that we were all on the right track.
And we got a ton, I don't want to mention specific numbers, but we got a ton of downloads, and as of last night, we were kicking Google Current's ass in the news section.
Sweet. Well, if just having a great app is enough, we're also you can win a free iPhone case with the iMore app, which is so exciting.
Yeah, I made the mistake of putting up the contest and not setting up Gmail filters, so our tip line has just exploded. There's like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of entries coming in. So that's fabulous, but it means I'm not getting anyone else's email today. Sorry!
And it's easy and simple. All you have to do is download the free iMore app. If you haven't already, you really should. Tap the More tab at the bottom, tap Send a Tip, and then tell us which case you want to win. The SGP case, which is the Linear Blitz case. It's beautiful. And then there's also the Casemate Barely There Brushed Aluminum case for the iPhone. It's also a stunning case. I have to say I like them both quite a lot.
They have to choose one, though, right? Choose one. They have to get the app.
Which case you think is better.
Get the app. Hit the send us a tip button and put in which case you like better and send it to us, and then you'll be entered to win.
It is a fight to the death, so.
Yeah.
And we went through how I use my iPhone 4S as a therapist.
Oh, it's one word. A therapist.
Yes, Trebek.
Awesome. And yeah, it was a really good article. We got a lot of really good comments. Other people who are in similar medical and or therapeutic professions were weighing in, Georgia. Very nice.
Well, it actually is something that makes my life so much easier because I can't have anything on in between sessions. So yeah, having Byte SMS makes life easy. It's always there. It can let me know in between. I don't get bothered. Yeah. Stress-free.
Nice.
And I look forward to this all the time, your editor's desk.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind of you. Your check is in the mail.
Thank you. I really do look forward to it. I think that they're great. I love the edition, love the pictures, love your thoughts on how things are going.
Can I briefly go over some of the things we're talking about this week?
Please.
So we spoke about the iMore app, and we have a thread going in the iMore forum. So if you go down to the iMore feedback forum, you can put in your feature requests. We did a bit of an iPad mini redux. Last week we spoke about the iPad mini, and what we heard from our sources, that it was basically, you know, it's in the labs, but Apple's not just a design company, it's a go-to-market company, and they're only going to put it out if they see a clear business model for doing so. And John Gruber from Daring Fireball on his podcast basically said he heard the same thing. And he speculated that maybe it would come out in WWDC 2012. I mean, I don't think he said he had information on that, but we've heard there probably won't be any hardware this year, just like there wasn't any hardware last summer. So just before people get too excited about it, we heard that that's not the case. Also quickly spoke about Obviously. There was this good back and forth between Gruber and Sebastian DeWitt, and we'll probably talk about this on an Iterate podcast. But it's how there's a tension between simplicity and obviousness in design. And I don't know if Seth wants to weigh in, but my take is that that's not how Apple thinks about it. They don't think about the heavy lifting of the designer. They think about what the experience is for the end user. And it's almost like the right tool for the right job. And they'll use buttons when it makes sense, and they'll use gestures when it makes sense. And they'll experiment sometimes and see how things like skeuomorphism work or how things like iPhoto work. But at the end of the day, they're making user apps. They're not making designer apps.
Yeah, they're definitely not putting too much stock in either one of those things. I think they're always looking for the balance between them and what serves the needs of the user in the best way possible.
They're like Tron.
Well, although they fight for themselves too, mostly.
Yeah, that's true.
You also did a wonderful post, Renee, on how great artists steal, or do they?
So this was a response. I mean, Larry Page gave an interview where he said that Steve Jobs was basically faking the whole Google brouhaha, saying that he did that to rally the troops, that he really didn't care about Android. And his biographer, Walter Isaacson, said, no, that's not true. He was absolutely livid. He saw what happened to him with Microsoft happen again with Android. And it wasn't just that they stole his ideas, according to him. He said they stole his ideas and gave them to everybody. They freely licensed it. They made it a lowest common denominator, commoditized thing, his beautiful work of art, so to speak. Almost like, you know, Gordon Ramsay seeing someone using his food for takeout. And there was this argument about, well, Apple stole from Xerox. Well, Apple stole from this. And there's kind of a fine line. There's this quote that says, good artists borrow, great artists steal. And that goes back, it's a very old quote, but the purpose of it is not copying. It doesn't mean copying, it means inspiration. It's almost like that everything is a remix video series. It's that you build your stuff based on what comes before and you take the next step. But taking the next step is a really important part. It's not just copying what's there, it's making it. It's like Ford. Henry Ford didn't just build a car. He made a mass-produced car that everybody could buy. Apple didn't just copy any one thing. They took a bunch of existing technology and made a mainstream product that sold in hundreds of millions. And I think that's the distinction that needs to be remembered.
Yeah, I mean, it's that whole notion of the idea is great, but the execution is really what counts. And you know, there's a difference between looking at someone's product and going, we're going to do that. We're going to do exactly that, only we're going to change some colors, and taking an idea, using it as a jumping off point, and kind of elaborating in your own way and extrapolating meaning and value in a different way to show people another way of doing things.
I'll say, like, Georgia is an artist. You don't want to reproduce someone else's art. You want to make something better. And I think that's the basic difference.
Exactly, and it's also knowing what to replicate and in which manner. And I think that Apple did a great job with choosing what not to continue with their own line, and then what to take with what they can do and grow with it. Apple is fabulous for choosing and executing in a way that makes people like root for them. It's amazing.
Yeah, so I had to editorialize about that a bit.
You did a good job. I liked it.
Appreciate it.
Actually, before I go on to the next part, you also just did a talk, didn't you, Renee?
Oh, yeah, I did. And maybe you guys can give me some advice. I did a talk yesterday at Cocoa Heads about how to market apps. Because if there's this thing that's like, you make a great app, yada, 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 profit. But that yada, yada, yada part is really important. And just like you design an app and you code an app, you have to market an app. So I did about a 20-minute, half an hour talk on how to successfully market your app. And people really liked it. So I think I might turn it into a blog post for iMore.
I think that would be a wonderful idea. Yeah. And it would be great for to talk maybe a little bit on and iterate about that entire experience. Perhaps.
Yeah, maybe we should do that.
And speaking about iterate, I have heard the most fabulous things about Iterate 19, Photoshop CS6.
Seth totally blew us off for this one.
Yeah, I totally blew you off by being in the sky.
Yeah. You had no Wi-Fi on the plane, sir?
No, I've never been on a plane with Wi-Fi. I know that's like an anomaly now that everyone has, but I've never taken a flight that had a plane with Wi-Fi.
Mark was on a walkabout. He called in on his iPhone, the only one on a 3G tower that he was literally sitting on top of in the middle of the outback.
Did he really?
Yeah, but
he really went on a walkabout and called from his phone?
Well, he said it was the country with bush tucka, but I imagine Mark was wrestling a croc and called in while it wasn't getting aggro. But it was good. We had Nevin Morgan and we had Dave Wiskus, and it was a rip-roaring show. And the folks from Adobe, John Knack and the Photoshop product manager really liked it and asked for some feedback. So I think we'll have to do another one soon. Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, I have to say that there are so many various rumors that we still have going around, and one of them is that Apple is rumored to be testing a 1GB A5X variant powered iPhone. And readying, we might actually get a next generation iPod Touch. Is this all we have to go on now, Renee?
No, we have the next rumor too, which is even crazier. Do you want to do them all at once, or do you want to break them down?
Let's do them all.
The other one is even crazier. So I forget, it was like on a Verge podcast or something. They were talking about a bigger screen, and a guy called in and said, well, what if instead of making the whole screen bigger, they just change the aspect ratio from 4:3 to something closer to 16:9. So then the screen just gets longer, sort of like how Motorola's Android phones have always been longer than the HTC or Samsung phones. And then John Gruber put up a post saying, oh, this is, I don't think this guy was just spitballing here. I think he knew what he was talking about. And since Gruber often has good Apple sources, people started putting a lot of credence in it. We did some mock-ups, though, and I can't see Apple making a phone like that.
Well, what would change, actually, to the phone's dimensions, Renee?
The screen would be much longer. Like, the screen would be about as wide, or the same ratio wide, but it would be longer. So you'd have, like, an extra row of icons on the home screen, or an extra row of tweets on a Twitter app, or some such.
So it would be the same width, but just longer.
It'd be a tall boy. It'd be the 40 ounce of iPhones.
Why? Okay, I understand everyone's like so excited for having a 4-inch screen, but just having a longer 4-inch screen, like, it's, I don't know, it seems very awkward.
Now, to throw a curveball in this, we have heard from some people at Apple that they are still experimenting with home buttonless iPhones. Like, we don't know if they're actually going to ship one, but this is something that they have in the lab that they're testing out. And if they make a longer screen, something will have to give, because they don't want to make a TV remote control length iPhone. So if there is some sort of bigger screen with a alternative home button, it could be interesting. I don't know. Looks odd to me.
Seth, would you want a longer iPhone?
No. I saw those mock-ups. They looked nightmarish. The entire balance of the device would be thrown off if it were that long. It would feel like a remote control in your hand, and that's not something you want to put in your pocket. That's not something you can like when you hold the phone, there's a certain balance to it, obviously, within the palm of your hand, and not just the iPhone. I mean, any halfway decent phone, the way that it feels, and if you extend the height of the phone, it's always going to feel to some degree that it's tipping towards that direction, just because there's more structure above where your finger would rest. And yeah, you could probably slide your hand up or down, or change the way that you hold it, but then if you're doing that, then you're further away from the home button, or you're further away from where your touch target.
Your thumb can't reach everything anymore.
It becomes a cumbersome maneuver up and down. If you're playing games, you're doing other things. There is more screen, but it's not in a way that it is easy access. Something that is more square, things are closer to the center, so it makes it easier to access things. This becomes exceptionally long. So I don't know. It seems like it's not going to make the user experience any better.
Well, that's the thing. Like, Apple is not a strange company. They do things that benefit either themselves first, and then their users, and then maybe developers. And I don't know what benefit, like cramming a 4-inch screen isn't a very big benefit. If they think they can sell more iPhones by having a bigger screen. But those Motorola's, like, have you used those Motorola phones with the longer screen, Seth? I don't think they're compellingly better.
We have a couple of Droid X's in the office, and they have a more narrow, longer screen. And I do like them. I think they're okay, but they're not like what I would prefer. They're definitely not terrible, but the things that I've seen people kind of mocking up this particular screen, it's just awful. I mean, Apple has math that they have to satisfy at this point between the App Store math of the Retina display and what the dimensions will actually support and what developers are willing to do in order to get apps to fit. So they've kind of painted themselves into a corner technologically, although I'm not going to say that really because it's kind of silly because who knows what they're working on. But until it becomes obvious as to how they can extend the screen, if they even really feel they need to, until it becomes obvious and the math makes sense, they're not going to do it just because other phones have larger screens. They're going to do it when it can be done well.
Because people online like to say they want a bigger screen, and I'm sure some people do want a bigger screen, but the iPhone is still outselling every other phone on a lot of carriers. It's not just outselling this phone, outselling that phone. It's outselling every other phone. So Apple's not going to mess with that until there's a compelling reason to. It might get a little bit bigger, but I don't think it'll get disproportionately bigger.
Yeah, I've often said I'd like a slightly bigger screen, but that said, I don't want it to compromise my experience. Otherwise, it's a trade-off I'm not willing to make. So I'm willing to wait. I mean, the size of the phone now is sufficient, and combine it with an iPad, I can do everything I need to do.
Well, some people are trading off their locked at&T phones, and at&T has begun to unlock qualified off-contract iPhones. But, Renee, what does qualified mean?
Well, first, can I just ask if this is a response to that editorial rant we put up last week about, at&T shouldn't just do this because Tim Cook asked, they should do it because it's the right thing to do? You think we got through to them? You think it's like the Grinch Who Stole Christmas, their heart grew 2 sizes bigger that day?
I think that they don't want to upset their user base, which makes a lot of sense. I don't think that their heart got any bigger.
But they've been making a career out of upsetting their user base.
They have, but as more people will jump ship to Sprint, Verizon, anywhere else, in the end, it hurts their bottom line, and that's where at&T's heart really is.
They're also apparently stealthily unlocking the iPhones of U.S. servicemen who are on overseas deployment, which they don't have to do, but they are doing.
That's decent.
Yeah.
It's a decent thing to do.
So, there's some small print, like you have to have, it has to be off contract, you have to have finished your contract, you have to have been a customer in good standing, yada, yada, yada. Basically, you call them, you give or you go on, before you could go on a chat too, now I think you still have to call them again. You give them your IMEA number, they enter that in Apple's database, you hook up to iTunes. Some people are saying that they didn't have to do a restore, but the actual procedure says you restore in iTunes, and then it realizes that your phone, it connects with Apple's authentication server, realizes your phone should be unlocked, and performs the unlock for you. So yeah, good on at&T.
Finally.
Yeah.
Do not have to be Tim Cook or beg him in order to unlock.
Nope.
The other thing you can do is you can actually pay your ETF if you want to, which I will be doing in October.
Sweet.
Yeah, and then I will be unlocking these 2 phones for overseas travel.
Nice, Seth.
Yep.
And you can, the risk is you can go on T-Mobile, but it's very hard to get 3G on T-Mobile just because most of their 3G is not on an iPhone-compatible band. But for traveling, it's great.
Yep.
Renee, you often talk about the little stickers that go on the back of the that you get when you buy an iPhone and how you shouldn't stick them on your car.
Oh, you mean the Apple stickers to tell people that you have Apple equipment in your car so that you're the one you should steal from and not the Dell sticker car next to you?
Right, exactly. And then everyone's like, oh, I'll take the Apple. Yeah, if you don't like someone stick an Apple sticker on their car.
If you do like them, put an HP sticker on.
Yeah, don't actually do that. Don't send me hate mail. U.S. carriers are banding together to form a database of all of the stolen iPhones in hopes to stop them from reselling and so that they can lock them down. Do you think that that's at all going to be effective, Seth?
I think that on some level it's a great effort. I don't know how effective it'll be because I'm sure that there's some way that people can flash the phones and get them to work on networks again, because if there's anything you don't do, it's you tell hackers they can't do something. So I don't really know. I think it's a good first step. I don't know how effective it's going to be, honestly.
It'll stop the dumb stuff like a lot of this stuff does. It'll stop like the people who are really terrible at it.
Yes, exactly.
Well, how exactly is it going to stop them? Because most people don't even know that this is happening.
Well, I mean, like you get this in the forums. Like people say, "Well, how do I clean the ISIN on my thing so I can use it?" Like for some reason, Verizon isn't activating my phone. How do I wipe it so that Verizon? And like, no, that's not your phone. I don't know who you think you're trying to fool. But I mean, if you go to a carrier, they check your phone. Like you say, "Oh, I've paid off this phone. I want to bring it. I got at&T to officially unlock it. I want to bring it to your network." And they check and they say, "No, actually, this is a stolen phone." Yeah, maybe it stops the "My name is Earl" of criminals.
I think
Right, it stops someone else from using your phone, but I doubt that it's actually going to stop the phones from. Again, someone sees candy sitting out there on the table, Cupertino bar, someone sees an iPhone, they're probably going to pinch it.
I don't think it's so much going to stop things in the initial first wave, but I think the goal is as people realize, oh, these phones can't be reactivated, I guess they're kind of hoping to see kind of a trickle off of the activity itself, and it'll probably take time for that to happen.
Yeah, you make it inconvenient, like the way Apple made scalping inconvenient. Now we don't have those lines of people in front of the Apple Store every morning.
Right.
Okay, you can call me jaded, but I don't really think that this is a preventative measure. I think that Apple will make a little bit of money, and so will, AT&T and Sprint and Verizon from more people buying phones.
Oh, no. Yeah, no, that's not the money is going to be the company that says they'll build the database for this, and then takes 3 years longer than the contract and keeps charging more and more money, and the database never works and is almost working. This is going to be like the gun registry in Canada type of cash cow. I think that's where the money play is.
I don't think so. I don't think that there was any way that AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, Sprint would agree to create a shared database, which would cost them a lot of money if they're not going to make something out of it.
Oh, can I use that as a perfect...
This might be altruistic?
Can I use that as a perfect transition into the carriers pushing back on paying Apple money?
After you answer the question, sure.
Yeah, no, I think this is not like... I think this is a nice headline that's not going to actually have a story behind it. I think a year from now, people will still be talking about it. Nothing will have happened.
Okay, fair enough.
But I think this is actually really interesting because Apple gets paid like $400-something for every iPhone that gets sold. Like AT&T pays them, Verizon pays them. Apple gets a huge amount of money from the carriers.
How much do they make from each iPhone?
So like an iPhone, like you've bought unlocked iPhones. They're expensive.
Yes,
they're like $650, $750, or $850. But if you buy them on subsidy, you only pay $199, $299, $399, and the difference is paid by the carrier, and you pay the carrier back over the course of your contract.
But the carrier does not actually pay market value phone.
They pay about $450 per iPhone to Apple, which is why Dan Hesse had to reach so deeply into his pockets for that Sprint deal. But the carriers do this because the iPhone is really popular and Apple has a lot of leverage. But there's this idea that, and it might be happening in Europe already, that the carriers don't want to do this, that it's driving down their profits, that instead of making 30% per customer on the phone, they're only making 20% or something now. And we've seen like Verizon has recently increased their upgrade fee to $30, which is kind of like what other carriers have been doing. And there's some thought that they're going to try to push back and not pay Apple as much, or try to, they've been using, they thought for a while, no, we don't need the iPhone, we'll use Android and we'll be fine. And Sprint realized that didn't work. So they had to pay Apple a lot of money, but that's not the position they want to be in.
Do you think that they have any say in this?
As long as most people want to buy iPhones, it's like I think Verizon and Sprint tried a long time not to do business with Apple because it was expensive, and I think that nothing else worked. The Droid didn't work, the Evo didn't work. They were popular phones, but they lost so much money not having an iPhone that it was better to lose less money and have an iPhone. And it's basically an average selling price. It means that they're paying Apple more, so their profits are lower.
But in the end, I guess out of the life of a contract, we're only talking about like $20 per month.
Yeah, but I mean, it adds up to the carrier. And
out of my, $79, to $100 that people pay per month.
The carriers are making obscene amounts of money instead of truly grotesque amounts of money, and that concerns them.
And since their profits are so low.
But so what will they do? Will they will they charge more for the iPhone instead of charging $199 starting price? Will they charge $299? People won't like that. Will they try to pay Apple less? Apple won't like that. So I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Well, the only way that that's going to work out is if they all band together and do it as one, because there's no way if one carrier says, well, listen, the iPhone's actually, instead of 200, it's going to be 250. Well, then that makes my decision really clear. If I have Signal on Verizon, I can get it, I would go there immediately. So there's no way that would work.
That's what makes this such a chess match.
They'll do something.
Again, if they band together,
they'll add some kind of weird fees,
kind of
make you pay more for text messages,
That's what they're trying. And so they've tried it, and sometimes people have rebelled, and they've had to take it back, and they try to add it. So, like I said, Verizon just increased their upgrade fee, so they'll be making more money off the upgrades now. And they'll try anything that works, I guess. We live in interesting times.
Sure, you could say that.
Or not.
That was my attempt to transition.
Oh. Well, as long as you trust people, Apple is hit with an antitrust lawsuit over the ebook pricing. Man, everyone's trying to squeeze Apple for something.
This is a Department of Justice. I mean, this is the weirdest lawsuit ever. So basically, Amazon controlled the ebook market. And we spoke about this last week, so I won't repeat everything, but they basically were selling books at a loss in order to take control of the market. It's sort of like dumping. It's not exactly the same, but it's sort of like dumping. They would buy a book for $12 and sell it for $9. So they'd lose money, but they'd get a lot of customers. And they would hope to make it up by selling other stuff. The publishers hated this because they felt that it was devaluing books. It was making people think books are cheap, and once things become cheap, it's really hard to bring prices back up again. And then Apple was there, and Apple said, well, we use this agency model for everything else. Why don't we use that for books too? So you set whatever price you want. We keep 30%. You get 70%. And the government said that there were like all these secret meetings going on in New York City restaurants where the publishers got together and colluded, and they like bring Steve Jobs into it, saying, I mean, people won't like it, but it's better for you, even if it's worse for the customer. And Eddie Q, taking all these calls behind the scenes, and It's a really interesting case because the government thinks that Apple is forcing higher prices with the publishers, but the alternative is Amazon having a monopoly, which is not a good situation either, and that makes it very strange.
Yeah, Apple is not the dominant force in this market. I don't understand really what the problem is. If they are approaching the market from a different perspective and offering a different payment structure, then what is the harm in doing that, since Amazon really is the 800-pound gorilla?
It's collusion to make prices higher, which is detrimental to customers.
And in the end, it's your choice whether you want to, use a Kindle and get an ebook that way, or buy from Amazon or buy from Apple. It's still your choice. It's a free market system. If it doesn't work out, Apple will change their marketing.
Well, they're saying that it's not. They're saying the publishers banded together with Apple and then refused to give Amazon their books unless Amazon agreed to the same deal. So Amazon is really, really happy right now. But I mean, if you think about it in terms like right now, the App Store, the developer sets the price, and Apple takes 30%, and the developer gets 70%. If not for the agency model, then Apple could sell your apps for whatever they wanted. And Amazon, in fact, does that. Amazon has been criticized for changing the price of apps, for giving them away for free without telling the developer. And some people want that control over their content. They don't want a retailer. They want an agent, which is why it's called an agency model.
Right.
And it's a much different, you can compare this to like a whole bunch of gas companies banding together to raise the price of gas.
Yeah.
There's a huge difference in between that and this, or truly is there?
Well, I guess it comes down to who you believe should have control of the content. It's should this, because before this, Amazon and most retailers would get like ridiculous, like 55% of the money. Authors got very little. The agency money is much better for authors and publishers. Is much better for authors and publishers. Arguably, it's not as good for consumers. But if books get devalued, publishers will stop making books. And then the market will dry up and someone will have to come up with an alternative. So, I mean, the market does have these checks and balances already. It's just, this one is just so interesting because there's no clear, I don't see a clear right or wrong in this. Both models are kind of bad.
So what do you think could happen? And in the end, is it going to be us that lose out?
I guess it depends on what you consider to be losing, and that's the thing here. A couple companies settled immediately. A couple of the publishers, they didn't want any part of this. Apple and Macmillan and a few others are going to fight this because they don't want a world where, ironically, where Amazon controls publishing. As a consumer, do you want the absolute lowest price, or do you want a sustainable market where you get more content? Because you can't drive the price coming down to zero and then expect people to still make it for you. You can demand cheapness, but you can't demand content. So I would rather have, it's the same thing with apps. I would like to have more expensive apps because I want better games. I want better apps. I'm willing to pay $5 for a really good app. I don't need to pay 99 cents for a crap app. Right. So it depends on your priority.
Exactly. Seth, remember we spoke last week about the creepy Nokia ads?
Yes, I do.
Well, I actually, interestingly enough, did you see the last Nokia ad, Renee?
Yes.
It was not as creepy.
No, they went to a more TV commercial, but the theme was the same. It just wasn't as weird.
It wasn't as creepy. It was actually a little bit cute. I have to say it was a little bit cute. I thought that ad was like, oh, it's not too bad in comparison to the other ads. But what would be the worst thing to happen to Nokia, talking about a smartphone beta test campaign comes to the end and they have released with all of the, smartphones that were actually beta tests, that now they have the Nokia 900? What would be the worst thing to happen to Nokia after that?
I don't know, Seth, what do you think?
I don't know. My mind could wander and fantasize about all kinds of things, but nothing could possibly be as bad as what actually happened, right?
So Nokia put out their phone that wasn't a beta test, and it turned out it didn't work so good. No one beta tested it.
Yeah.
They didn't beta test their after beta test smartphone.
They made fun of Apple having problems in 2007 and 2010 instead of making sure their phone could connect to the internet in 2012.
I can't even begin to tell you how smugly satisfied I am with these results after our conversation about that stuff.
And out of all of the things that the Lumia 900 could have a problem with, they had a problem with people that it loses all data connectivity.
Yeah.
Pretty much their phone forgets that it's actually...
A phone.
Say it, Renee.
A phone. Well, but so in Nokia's credit, I mean, they're really making good. They are exchanging the phones. They're giving you $100 credit, and they're pushing out a firmware update. Excellent, excellent customer service. Nokia is to be applauded, but it was just such a dumb campaign to run. They should have done the launch first, made sure it was perfect, and then maybe run this campaign.
Maybe they should have beta tested their phone first.
Yes, and not released it on Easter Sunday when most of the stores were closed.
Quite honestly, those phones are really nice. Windows Phone is really nice. And Nokia is definitely doing the right thing by customers. So this isn't about hating on that phone. It's about realizing just how completely stupid that ad campaign was in the first place.
It is about the marketing of the phone, not actually the phone itself, which is hilariously funny because the first set of commercials were absolutely creepy. They really creeped me out, just like those first Droid commercials kind of scared me. The Nokia ads were slightly frightening, and they didn't really present the Nokia. The
Droid ads were like misogynistic quasi porn stuff, and this was like voyeuristic quasi Big Brother stuff. I mean, it was all very odd choices from a marketing point of view.
Right. Though I did enjoy the last of the Nokia ads where someone went around to all the different places and spoke about the phone. I thought that was very well done.
They should have been testing it instead, though.
But exactly, you cannot launch an ad campaign about how all of those smartphones, all of our smartphones, all of them, not just the iPhone, though the iPhone was in most of the ads, but that all of the phones were beta test, and then come out with a phone that has a whole bunch of.
Yeah, you've got to be bulletproof. If you're going to run that commercial series, you've got to make sure that this is the most solid, most reliable, most fantastic phone launch in history.
Yeah, like I always say about people that are fighting, like, listen, you can talk all of that smack as long as you can back it up.
Yeah.
You can wear the little pink Speedos, come out like, pumping like you're going to be all, all that, but make sure that you really are all that, or it's a spoof.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Ouch.
Yeah. Renee,
Yes.
you have, we're going to talk a little bit about Audible.
Audible. I love Audible. Yeah.
I love when you do that.
Aw, thanks. No, I mean, yeah, so Audible is back there. They're sponsoring this episode. If you go to audiblepodcast.com/imore, you can get a free audiobook download. So thank them for supporting us. I spoke about this before. I'm a long-time Audible user. I've had an account for a very long time. I was too impatient to wait for Game of Thrones to keep coming up on HBO. I was concerned that there wouldn't be enough new characters, that they would somehow run out of people to introduce into the plot. So I wanted to make sure the series were continuing, so I used my last 5 or 6 credits to get the full Game of Thrones series. What is it? Song of Wind, of Fire and Ice.
Sweet.
And some people are getting the Hunger Games. I mean, some people are still looking for the nonfiction stuff. We've mentioned it before. They have the Steve Jobs bio. They have the Inside Apple books. They have some great books about how Google works. It's fantastic. I don't have time to read. My eyes are glued on a computer screen almost all the time, or I'm driving, and being able to listen to a book it's a great way to relax, to rest my eyes. It's not just someone talking out the words. They have really, really, really good actors. Some of the books, like the first Dune book from Frank Herbert, it's actually based on a production. They have several actors in it. It's really, really well done. Some of them are just one voice actor. Sometimes it's the author. I mentioned, I think last time, Neil Gaiman read several of his books. So it's a fantastic product. The Audible app on the iPhone, terrific app. It's almost like using iTunes in the cloud. All your stuff is just in your online library. You can download it to your device on demand, and you have literally hours and hours of entertainment in front of you.
And I enjoy that because also I'm always traveling. I'm never at home, and I can't carry around books with me. Can't read on my iPhone while I'm there, so it's really nice to be able to listen to something, learn something. Yeah.
A friend of mine,
so I don't say learn something.
A friend of mine just downloaded because the movie's coming out, he downloaded The Hobbit, A Hole in the Ground That Lived a Hobbit. So he wanted to catch up that way. So, I mean, anything that you've always wanted to read and never had time for, audiblepodcast.com/imore, get it.
Right. So we're going to talk about my favorite people and why I love them so much.
Wait, it's us, isn't it? It's me and Seth.
It is.
Yeah.
It's true. But now, not even your photos are safe.
Were they safe before?
Facebook bought Instagram.
$1 billion. A $1 million buyout is not cool, Seth Clifford. You know what's cool? A $1 billion buyout.
You should have had. You should have had the Dr. Evil music on cue for when you did the $1 billion.
Well, that would have been good.
That's a lot of money. I think the CEO himself cleared, what, 450 mil out of that deal?
That's good for a year and a half's worth of work.
That's the thing, and I don't want to be mean about it. I mean, Instagram is an incredibly popular app, but if Instagram didn't have the social component, if it was just a camera app, it's not a very good camera app. I mean, it's not. The UI is not great.
It's a very specifically targeted function that rides on top of a much more interesting social tool.
Yes, that is a very good way of putting it, Seth Clifford.
I think that for Facebook, though, again, the privacy issues do bother me, but I think that for Facebook, it is a smart acquisition. It brings something that adds another facet to their company, and again, a lot more information, a lot more friendships that they have access to. And do you think that this is going to bring more people to Facebook and keep it current and hip-er? Or is this going to lower the cool status of Instagram?
So, I mean, this is just my take, and I'd love to hear Seth's too, because I haven't had a chance to talk to him about this. George, I just assume is, her privacy radar went off, and she like the fortress in Hoth, the shield wall came down almost immediately. But I know Seth uses Instagram, so I'm interested to hear. But the thing with me is, I think this was incredibly smart for Facebook. They say they're going to leave it alone. They're going to let Instagram be Instagram. But no company ever sees what replaces them coming. Like IBM got replaced by Microsoft, never saw it coming. The mainframe was replaced by the PC. Microsoft never saw Google coming. Neither did Alta Vista or Yahoo. The local computer got replaced, not replaced, but became, as a company, their place was taken by Google. Google never saw Facebook coming. They thought they had search locked up, and then Facebook showed that there was an entirely new walled garden that was perfectly available and ripe for the plucking. And now Facebook doesn't know who's going to replace them. You never know that. But Instagram was becoming very interesting. I mean, Facebook is the largest repository of photos in history. It is so much bigger than anything else that you can very easily miss the existence of everything else. But that's not a forever thing. And as much as IBM was a mainframe company and Microsoft was a PC company and Google was an internet company and Facebook was a social company, Instagram was a mobile company. They barely had a website. And mobile is right now the future. So I think Facebook buying them now for $1 billion is a much cheaper than a company like Instagram becoming the next big thing after Facebook.
Seth?
I thought about this from 3 directions, from Instagram's direction, from Facebook's direction, and then from my direction as a user of, the service. From Instagram's direction, obviously, if anybody offers you $1 billion, you take it. Yeah. You take it and say thank you for the $1 billion. You can always use that $1 billion to make something else cool. I think that's such an absurd amount of money that you'd be hard pressed to say, well, I've really poured my heart and soul into this. I think I'm going to pass on the $1 billion and see what happens. That's just, it's not feasible. So I get it. I get why they wanted to do it. From Facebook's direction, Renee is absolutely right. They're the biggest photo repository on the internet. I'm not sure specifically what Instagram is going to bring to Facebook, given that so many people shared from Instagram to Facebook already, unless Facebook is going to fold Instagram into its own mobile app in some way. And then that's kind of where my own feelings come in. Like Facebook has all these pictures, but they're not all Instagram pictures. They're coming from all over the internet. So Instagram is one piece of that. And what you said, Renee, about not knowing where your successor is coming from, Instagram is one facet of Facebook. Yeah, it's a large facet because it's photos, but it wasn't a threat. It wasn't like a rival social network on any kind of scale that could unseat Facebook and replace Facebook for what it is for so many people. So I'm still kind of fuzzy on what it was, whether it was a talent acquisition or whether it was just, let's bring this thing into the fold and we'll figure out what to do with it later. As a user, I really like Instagram. I don't really use a ton of the filters. I just really like it because it's so quick to share stuff out, and it's just a nice app.
Was it Jaiku or was it a YouTube?
Well, that's what remains to be seen, right? We don't really know if it's going to exist on its own. And I think if Facebook was smart, they would just leave it alone for at least a year and just percolate it and see what happens. Let the Instagram community continue to grow, because now that it's on Android, it's jumping. There's all kinds of people that are joining. Let it continue to grow. There's nothing to worry about because they've got it locked down, and figure out a way to leverage what's good about Instagram into Facebook without completely subsuming it and then basically turning a lot of those users off, because that takes away the thing that they liked in the first place.
Well said.
I think that Facebook will do exactly what they said, that they'll leave Instagram alone, that they're not going to have it any more integrated than what it is already into Facebook. And I don't think that that's what really bothers me. My worry is that their privacy policies will change ever so slightly. And right. As you know, everything that you've ever put on Facebook, even after you get rid of it, Facebook still owns, which is a little bit scary in that now they might perhaps also be owning all of your photos on Instagram, be able to have all the information to that, your friends, the way that they're linked.
Wait a minute.
That has...
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, are we overthinking this, Georgia? Is it just that Mark Zuckerberg has so much money that when we like Instagram, we download the app, and when he likes it, he buys the company?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, that I love your altruism about people. I think that's fabulous. It's a wonderful thought that he would buy it just because he likes it. You know, I like this razor so much I bought this company. No, he's doing it because he thinks it's a smart investment.
And we put up instructions for the...
Instagram is, how much does it cost? Nothing. It's free. So it's not for making money off of the application itself.
No, well, it was a lottery, right, Seth? I mean, they made this to be sold. That was their business model.
Well, they said that they were going to make it. Well, how much? Go ahead if I'm wrong.
No, well, people are calling it that, right? It's the lottery model. You build it, you don't really have a business plan in place, and you wait for it to be sold. Yeah, I mean, that's totally viable, and that's if you can do a great product and get acquired the way they did, that's great. It works, right? But I read a lot of things this week about... I read one particular article, I think it was from NextWeb, that basically said Facebook just did you a favor because now Instagram doesn't have to do things that you don't like to stay in business. And I'm not sure I necessarily agree with that either, because I think there's the easy way that you can monetize, and of course that relates to ads and marketing and things. And then there's things that you can do to add value to your application, to your community in other ways. And Instagram is really a relatively young app and community, and I think that might be selling them a little short, like they didn't have enough good ideas to do it. I think they probably were just in the process of growing so exponentially quickly that they realized, well, we've got a lot of buzz. Let's just see how long this goes. And then when we have to pull the trigger on some other things, let's do that. And I guess Facebook just took that decision away from them. They didn't have to make it.
It's also possible, I mean, I believe they were venture capital funded, and if Facebook comes and offers $1 billion at you, your investors might tell you you're selling.
Pretty much, yeah.
And that's not really what my point was in that. It's that, you know, for sure they were planning to monetize it at a certain stage. They wanted to build up the company before they would decide to do that. So I think that's a brilliant idea for them to sell it off to Facebook. But Facebook bought them. So that's from their point of view, definitely. It's brilliant. From Facebook's point of view, again, they're not going to monetize. I don't believe that they're going to, you know, make you have to pay in order to you know, get Instagram. So what else are they in it for?
You mean Instagram?
Facebook.
All your photos has now belonged to Zuck.
Exactly. Which, again, a lot of people, not all, people that are more untrusting on the basic scale are like, okay, how do I get rid of all of my photos? Not just delete my account, because I delete the account and then
so
Facebook
what's the answer?
Has access. How do we do that?
We put up a how-to.
Let's take a peek.
I'll put the link in the show notes. Basically, there is a way to export your photos out of Instagram so that you have a local copy, you don't lose them. And then there's a way to shut down your Instagram account.
And again, with Instagram privacy policy as it is, would your photos not be, they're gone?
Well, I mean, nothing's ever gone on the internet because they could have been reshared and saved and downloaded by that stalker guy who's been following you on Instagram surreptitiously for, you know, years. But they're as gone as you can humanly make them.
Right. We also had a great, we talk about all of the missing apps. So Leanna posted...
Yeah, that really bugs you, eh?
What?
That the apps are missing on the iPad. You've complained about that several times.
Well, it's something that I would love to have. And so Leanna took this one step further, and she says, well, let's find how we could make the iPad as it should be. And she found the best apps that are missing on the iPad. So it's the best clock, best voice recording, weather calculator, and stock app alternatives. Love the clock. It's a really beautiful one.
It's everything that Steve Jobs is rumored to have said wouldn't work on a big iPad screen, done beautifully by developers in the App Store.
Yes. And she went through all of them. So you can take a peek there. If you have your own ideas, I would love to hear from them. Now, can I like skip forward?
Yes, but I'm just going to say that you can find all this in imore.com/podcast, and all the show notes are there, so you can find all the recommendations.
So I have a whole bunch of neat tech that has come my way, and I have been waiting to open this the entire podcast because I just got home. This right here is, I haven't opened it, I have not even seen it, but it's my steampunk case from at&T.
If you haven't opened it, how do you know? It could be nothing. How do you know what's really in there then? You have no idea.
Oh, because I know the person's name.
This could be like Geraldo Rivera opening up the Al Capone's vault.
That would be hilarious. It's nothing in it. It's not even that.
Or it's Al Capone. That'd be even better.
It could be. It could be
It
that.
could be Geraldo.
I cut it open. I'm not even peeked. I'll fall over embarrassed. But anyways, so I'm gonna take a peek. It's made by a man who does special effects.
Dum dum dum.
Oh God, it really is beautiful.
Hold it up higher. There we go. Too high, lower, and stop. Wow.
Wait,
wow.
I gotta look at it. I'm happy you guys can see it, but holy
bleep, 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 bleep. Georgia was about to get a sked on everybody there. I apologize.
That's gorgeous. Yes, this is hand cast, painted. Oh my God. I really, I can't even say how much can you see it?
So do you get to keep this, or is your husband going to steal it from you like everything else?
Oh God, yeah, no, this is going on my phone right now. Though, okay, I'm just going to take a look at this again. Sorry, everyone else. Oh my God.
So you will be reviewing this for us? I don't mean to disrupt you and your new favorite love in this universe, but you'll be reviewing this for us?
Yeah.
Do you guys need to be alone for a while?
Yeah, I think so. Though, I also have...
Seth, can you see this?
I can't see anything. Ustream refuses to work for me.
Do you know what Georgia's holding up?
I'm so sorry.
No, I don't.
Can I tell you?
You can describe it.
A hand frozen in carbonite iPhone case.
That
really
sounds
nice.
Great.
It's really cool.
Oh my goodness.
It's going on
you can see him still screaming.
The only thing I worry about the steampunk case is
impressive. Most impressive.
Is that the flash I might get, if I use a flash, I might have a little bit of a glare. Should be a little bit more.
And Seth's heart, he just said, I know.
So I have those review, continuing with our stylus extravaganza. Got the Incipio, and here we go. We got the H12 from SGP. Oh, I'm excited about this. Look at what it is.
Oh, a keyboard. Great. Wait a minute, is this Crackberry?
Keyboard. It's illuminated slider keyboard. Hard shell plastic case, built-in rechargeable battery, USB charging cable, and access to all ports and cameras. Got those. I got, here we go, headrest for my car.
I feel like I'm watching some morbid game show that I'm not allowed winning anything on.
Oh, well, I have to say that I was so excited when I got this case. I was like, this is the case. He said, yeah.
You're like a Howie Mandel with hair and no girls.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm actually going to have him, he's going to do a how-to on how he, all that went through to make the case.
Oh, the steampunk case maker?
Yeah.
Nice.
Ooh, so stoked.
That's awesome.
I'm afraid to break it.
You did a review of the SGP Glass T screen protector, which is absolutely gorgeous. And you put up a post today that I've been waiting all day to ask you about, Georgia. The Pebble e-paper watch for iPhone. This is half of what you have dreamed about. Is that enough?
Every little step is better than what we had before. So, my dreams are coming close to it. So control your music with your watch. Love it. Voice control, cool too, but
there's no voice. Yeah, so there's no, you can do, it does Bluetooth 2.0, not 4.0, and it will pass certain things back and forth, like GPS to music controls. There's no Siri pass-through. It's limited in what it can do on iPhone as opposed to Android, but it's got a nice e-ink display, and it's a watch, so... Cool. Getting it, not getting it, what do you think?
I'm not sure. I'm going to have to see. I am tempted because it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful.
Seth, getting it, not getting it?
I'm leaning towards yes.
Sounds like the kind of thing that I would really enjoy for about a week and then tire of it.
If it was a G-Shock, would you get
Depends
it?
on how
There was a G-Shock with Bluetooth a while back, and I did consider getting that.
Nice. Before we finish, Georgia, can we announce that on the next episode of Iterate, we're going to have a very, very special guest?
Please tell me.
Nickelfish.
Ooh!
They're going to talk about how they made the Goram iMore app.
I love it. I love it. Oh, that's wonderful. That's great. So don't miss that.
No. Are they excited, Seth, or are they just, dreading every moment of it?
Yeah. Are they like,
No,
oh no, not more of us?
No, it's definitely a high watermark on our week.
Have they ever been interrogated by an incredibly design-efficient Australian?
No, probably not.
Okay. Don't prepare them. It'll be funnier.
Yeah.
Awesome. So that'll probably be next Monday, so don't miss that either.
Wonderful. And I would like to say congratulations to you, Renee.
Why for? Why so?
You made an achievement.
Unlocked? Xbox?
Pardon me?
I got an achievement unlocked?
You did. Achievement unlocked. Yes.
What did I do? I forgot already. It's been such a long week.
You got your brown belt.
Oh, yeah. I got my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Cool.
I like that Henzo Gracie saying, if the only difference between a black belt and a black belt is just a white belt who never quit. So I just didn't quit. That's how that worked.
I love it. Exactly that. Exactly that. A lot of hard work, a lot of effort, and a lot of dedication. So you should be proud. Also, I have someone that wanted to say hi to you. So Nick says hello, Renee.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Hi, Nick.
I think that, can we call it to a close? Did we cover enough? I know we didn't cover everything, but...
Can I give you a break and do the outro this time?
Ooh. Yeah, please.
All right. Seth Clifford, sir, where can we find out more about you?
You can find me on Twitter, at Seth Clifford. You can find me here and on Iterate with Renee and Mark Edwards of Bajango. And if you want to see some of the work we do, visit our website, nickelfish.com.
I forgot to fix your lower third. Sorry, I'm going to do that right away after the show.
That's okay. Everyone ignore the lower third if you can even see it on Ustream, which has completely failed us tonight.
Yes. And Georgia, you were looking so professional tonight. Where can we find out more about you?
You can find me on the website, www.imar.com, and you can also find me on Twitter at GeorgiaTIPP.
Retro.
Woohoo.
You can find me at Renee Ritchie or at imore.com. You can find all of us at imore. You can email us at podcast@imore.com, or you can leave a comment when the show goes live. We are here each and every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Sometime British summertime, they keep changing on me. I think it's around 2 o'clock in the morning. If you haven't already, please go to iTunes. Please subscribe to the show. Please leave a rating. You can find all our shows at mobilenations.com/shows. I want to thank the iMore store for sponsoring the show. I want to thank Audible for sponsoring the show. And I want to thank each and every person in the chat room for joining us tonight. Georgie, you look like you're about to be attacked. Your case got stolen while you were distracted?
Huh?
Was it by a giant mechanical spider?
Yes, my case was just totally pinched from me.
Is it true or not that you have actually lost your favorite stylus?
Oh, God.
You left it unattended in your house, and it is now gone.
Yeah, I have a stylus. It is now my favorite stylus. I really like this stylus. I actually feel a little bit sad. And everyone's asking me on Twitter what stylus this stylus is. Yeah, it's gone. It's gone. I left it on my case.
Is there maybe a database of stolen styluses that you could consult?
Pardon me?
Is there a database of stolen styluses that you could consult?
Yeah, I'm going to ask Sprint, where the hell is my damn stylus?